important thing to understand about central bank digital currency in an all digital financial system, it's not a currency. It's a control grid.
The central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability, and also we will have the technology to enforce that.
Mark September 1st, 2026 in your calendar right now, because that's the day the control grid officially goes live across one of the biggest economies on planet Earth. The man you just heard runs the Bank of International Settlement, essentially the central bank of central banks, and he just told the entire planet exactly what's coming. Absolute control, built-in enforcement, and no more cash. And 137 countries have lined up behind him to build the exact system he described. We're less than 4 months away from Russia pulling the trigger on the most aggressive CBDC rollout in modern history. But Russia isn't the only one.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Haoyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, a person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950, and Haoyu, with a good score of 752, is okay with it.
It's a mechanism like pushes you to become a better citizen.
This has been happening all over the world in silence. Trolled money, full surveillance, and social credit systems that watch everything you do. And the US is next. But they can't control the blockchain, and there's one coin standing as the savior. So if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. And if you're on Instagram, comment amen below. Also, we're giving away our 2026 passive income crypto blueprint to everyone who follows us on Instagram at BullRunnersHQ. The link's down in the description. Now let's run it. What's going on, Bull Runners? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Paul. You can find me on Twitter or X at CryptoPaul. So, according to the Atlantic Council's tracker, 137 countries representing 98% of the global GDP are exploring a CBDC. 49 are running active pilots, and 3 of them, the Bahamas, Jamaica, and Nigeria, have already gone fully live. Plans for these are about a lot more than just currency.
She said the wonderful thing about central bank digital currency is inflation is no longer a problem. If you have inflation, you just freeze everybody's bank accounts.
The CBDC isn't being sold as a payment upgrade, it's being sold as an inflation kill switch that runs through your wallet. The CBDC is about regaining power at the central level and controlling your every move. And Russia is the starter pistol because the Bank of Russia originally scheduled the digital CBDC currency called ruble for July of 2025, then postponed it to September 1st, 2026. But the headlines aren't telling you about the smart contract layer. Russian lawmaker Anatoly Aksakov went on the record saying that smart contracts inside the digital ruble could impose restrictions on spending. And not only will the state be able to use the new opportunities, but also the people themselves. When parents give their children money for school expenses, they want him to buy himself a lunch, not a pack of cigarettes or something worse, or spend it all on video games, or give it to scammers. In the future, they will be able to establish such restrictions using a CBDC, so they can control how much you spend, what you end up buying, and who's allowed to even access this system. Now, Russia's state polling agency found that in July of 2025, 51% of Russians flat out refused to use the digital ruble. 40% say they see zero benefit. So essentially the public hates it. But in Russia, the public doesn't actually get a vote. And once Russia goes live September 1st, every economy that trades with Russia gets pulled in. Because if you want to sell oil to Moscow without going through the dollar, you're plugging into the digital ruble system. And India's central bank is already pushing for a BRICS-wide CBDC linkage in 2026. China's digital yuan is already wired into the same cross-border system. The system is being built right now, and every country that wants to do business inside the new system has to connect. But this type of system isn't theoretical. China's been running it in production for years.
It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens. But a bad score means public shame and worse.
According to the Supreme People's Court of China, the blacklist created in 2013 has added more than 9.59 million people to the list. By 2019, the system had imposed over 27 million travel restrictions. Once you're on the list, you can't buy a plane ticket, you can't enroll your kids in school, and your digital wallet just stops working.
If you're blacklisted, it's game over. Your WeChat Pay stops working, you can't receive your salary, can't buy food, can't even book a train ticket. It's like being alive, but digitally. Many are now sleeping in the streets, cut off from everything. Jobs, housing, even communication. All because one app, one algorithm decided they don't belong.
They didn't go broke, they got deleted. And before you say that doesn't happen in the West, let me tell you something about Canada. Because in January of 2022, thousands of Canadian truckers drove to Ottawa to protest the COVID vaccine mandate. They parked them outside Parliament. They didn't break any windows, they didn't loot stores, they just refused to leave. So on February 14th of 2022, Justin Trudeau, then the Prime Minister of Canada, invoked the Emergencies Act for the first time in Canadian history, the first time since the law existed in its modern form. And 3 days later, his Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, walked up to the podium and said this:
"If your truck is being used in these illegal blockades, your corporate accounts will be frozen. The insurance on your vehicle will be suspended. Send your semi-trailers home."
And it didn't stop at the truckers, it hit the donors too. By the time it was over, Canadian banks had frozen over 206 accounts, $7.8 million. No court order, no due process, no conviction. Some of those frozen accounts belonged to ordinary Canadians who donated $50 on a crowdfunding page. They woke up and their mortgage payment had bounced. Now here's the part that matters. On January 23rd of 2024, Federal Court Justice Richard Mosley ruled the entire thing was unconstitutional. The freeze violated Section 2 and Section 8 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The government appealed. They lost again at the Federal Court of Appeal in January of 2026, but the damage was already done. 2 years had passed, the protest was crushed, and the accounts had been emptied. The truckers had gone home, and the Canadian government got the precedent they wanted on the books. CBDCs are a far more nefarious form to enforce these types of activities. They are the blueprint, but with one difference. A CBDC is powerful because they don't actually have to call the bank and ask. Instead, they just press a button and your money stops working. Just listen to what a former assistant secretary at the US Treasury said is coming for America.
So if they don't want you buying pizza, you can't buy pizza. If they want you to buy pizza made with insect-based flour, that's what you're going to get. You don't get your vaccine this month, they're going to turn off your money. You don't transgender your kid, they're going to turn off your money.
That's Catherine Austin Fitts, former Assistant Secretary of Housing under President George H.W. Bush. So this isn't some random voice online. This is somebody who sat at the top of the US financial system telling you exactly how this new system is going to be used. And once they implement this system, they own the food, they own the medicine, they own your daily ability to feed your family. Now here's the part nobody is telling you, because for years every central bank on earth agreed on one principle. A retail CBDC functions like digital cash without any interest in yield. But then on December 29th of 2025, the People's Bank of China quietly broke the framework. Verified digital yuan wallets now earn interest at demand deposit rates. 230 million wallets, 16.7 trillion yuan in cumulative volume, roughly 2.37 trillion US dollars, already moving through their CBDC system. And Beijing already linked the digital yuan to the digital ID. So the wallet is the payment system, the punishment system, and now the reward system, all in one app. And when you add yield on top of that, it becomes something different entirely. You comply and they give you interest, so it doesn't feel as bad. But then if you step out of line, the wallet takes your money in real time. This is one of the most powerful control instruments in history. Now, before I keep going, you need to realize something. CBDCs are starting to give yield, and the real problem is who controls that yield, because there's a version of yield that runs on permissionless networks where you hold your own keys and where no government has a kill switch on your personal sovereignty or the interest rates that you choose. It runs through DeFi protocols and liquidity pools. These are the same protocols that institutions are taking advantage of right now outside of the purview of the Fed. But what I've seen is all of the mistakes that people make trying to navigate DeFi alone, because already this might look really confusing to you. However, what we're after are these average ranges of yield between 30 to 40% if you're sitting on XRP and stablecoins. But navigating this, like I said, is very difficult because most people find a protocol with a crazy APY, and already these sound pretty unreal. Then they just toss their money in, and 6 weeks later, it's potentially gone, either rug pulled or it was a faulty smart contract that was exploited. They didn't understand the risk and essentially got liquidated. However, what's coming is a massive opportunity because we put together a system for people just like you, especially if you're sitting on any amount of XRP, other altcoins, or stable coins. We call it our SGS blueprint. And inside, we teach you exactly how to do everything to be completely in control of your family's future and your own financial future by taking advantage of this decentralized architecture. So when things change and when potentially CBDCs come, not only do you have total control and sovereignty over your financial future, but you can actually come out on the other side stronger. Inside the program, we help you to build out an entire personalized crypto system from scratch, one-on-one, over a period of 5 months. So if you want the same system the top 1% of crypto investors are using to secure their crypto so it can't be stolen by hackers or frozen by the government, earn passive yield or income on the coins you already hold, and then use that extra yield to double down on your crypto investments or just as extra supplementary income, then be sure to click on that very first link down in the description below. Watch this video, and if it makes sense to you, be sure to book a call. Again, first link in the description below. Now let's dive back into the video. Now here's where the government gets really sneaky, because on July 17th of 2025, the House passed an anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act. It blocks the Fed from issuing a CBDC directly or indirectly to individuals. And on March 12th of 2026, the Senate passed the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. That bans the Fed from issuing a retail CBDC until December 31st of 2030. Even Trump's Federal Reserve Chair nominee walked into his confirmation hearing and said this.
Do you agree that the Federal Reserve has no legal right to issue a central bank digital currency?
Senator, I agree that they don't have the right, and I think it would be a bad policy choice.
But this bill explicitly carves out an exception for any dollar-denominated currency that's open, permissionless, and private. And that's the doorway everyone missed. They essentially snuck it in for a potential future. Programmable money has two faces. State-issued CBDCs come with mint and burn capability, expire function, geofencing spending, and a kill switch in the central bank's hands. But the underlying technology can also be issued by neutral permissionless networks that don't ask the holder for permission. In other words, these are governed by code, not individuals. Individuals create the code, someone else can audit it and verify that yes, there are no kill switches here because it is open source. And then once they set the code running, it just goes without anyone else involved. But that's exactly where XRP and the XRP ledger have been positioned for over a decade. XRP doesn't get printed by a central bank. It settles cross-border value in 3 to 5 seconds seconds, with fractions of a cent in fees. So when Russia goes live on September 1st and every BRICS economy starts settling against the digital ruble, none of them will run on each other's chain. They need a neutral settlement layer, an asset with no nationality, no kill switch, and no political loyalty. This is essentially what XRP was originally intended and designed to do. And the Clarity Act markup is happening this month. And if the bill clears the Senate floor, Standard Chartered is forecasting at least $4 to $8 billion in cumulative XRP spot ETF inflows by year end. So this is essentially the regulatory pathway that lets institutional money plug XRP into the gap that the wholesale CBDC system is leaving wide open. So let me be brutally honest with you. If you're holding XRP, you're on the right side, but just holding isn't a strategy. The investors who win this gateway own decentralized assets. They hold their own keys and they generate institutional yield from the assets that they currently hold. However, the ones that actually get crushed by the market are the ones still parking everything in one coin on a centralized exchange. And I'm not saying centralized exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken or even Binance are bad. It's just that they are centralized and can be controlled by the authorities or jurisdictions that they are under. So that's exactly why we assembled the brightest minds in crypto together inside of our Altcoin Pro Accelerator program. Inside, we help you secure your crypto so it's safe from any hacks, scams, or rug pulls, or centralized exchange freezes locking you out of your funds. Then we help you grow your portfolio through the same yield protocols that the wealthiest institutions and private family offices leverage to manage billions of dollars in capital. That way, you're earning passive income on your crypto every single day using the same strategies that the elite use, whether the market goes up, down, or sideways. And afterwards, we even help you to pick the right projects and coins that have pre-market potential to do 5x, 10x, or even more sometimes, based on our daily research and analysis, so you don't have to worry about scrolling on X or YouTube like most investors. We have daily and weekly calls where we share what we're buying, what we're selling, technical analysis, and live Q&A so you can get your questions answered in real time. And you even get a dedicated mentor who helps build this entire system out with you, personalized for your portfolio and your goals over a period of 5 months. So if you want to see how the full system works, go down to the description, click on the very first link, completely watch this video. If it makes sense for you, be sure to book a call by clicking the Apply Today button. But as a side note, we can only take on a limited number of clients every single month to keep the quality of our help and training for you very high. So if there aren't any available spots, sometimes just check 24 to 48 hours later to book a call, because this is the type of reset that is something you don't want to navigate alone. But that is it for the video, folks. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, and the rabbit hole goes a lot deeper. Stay tuned, stay bullish, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.